So, Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen, dear teachers, colleagues, and dear professors. I would like to welcome you to this international conference about employing information technology in education in the light of the current conflicts and crisis. Distance education as a model. So, as it is clear from the conference program, this fifth session or fifth meeting in this conference will be about all topics that will be presented in English. So we will have 5 topics or 5 presentations from different teachers and professors from different universities. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Triki Manel, an associate professor in applied linguistics in Mohammed Khaydar University, Algeria, in the Department of English. Now, without further ado, I want to give some instructions to you all, dear participants, concerning the time of the presentation. The time will be limited to 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. So the first presentation or intervention will be mine. Presentation of Dr. Triki Manel with Dr. Huriya Waman, both from University of Mohammed Khaydar in Algeria. The topic of this presentation will be the efforts of Mohammed Khaydar University in Algeria in establishing the adequate methods to promote distance learning in the light of the corona pandemic. So there is no doubt that the corona pandemic had and till now has different effects, let's say positive and negative effects on different countries in the world and at different levels and in different sectors. One of these countries is Algeria, and one of the sectors that were affected by the corona pandemic was the educational sector. And because of these effects on the educational system in Algerian universities, there were many methods and strategies were followed by Algerian universities and the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research in Algeria in order to enhance and promote distance teaching and learning in Algerian universities. So first of all, I will just give a brief let's say introduction about the emergence of distance learning in Algeria. So I want to mention that Algeria has adopted distance education strategy since 2007. It means more than 10 years ago. And it was within the national project for distance education approved by the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research in Algeria, which aims at that time to control the integrated media system for the sector, the educational sector, I mean, as well as the establishment of a distance education system as a support for face-to-face education. In other words, from that time until now, even now, the main educational system in Algerian universities is the face-to-face or interactional system. However, the Algerian Ministry of Higher Education tried to make as a support the distance learning to be a support for or to presential or face-to-face education. And for that, in order to achieve all this, all universities in Algeria allocated rooms dedicated to distance education, equipped with all technological materials. So this was just a brief overview about the start, or as I said, the emergence of distance education in Algerian universities. So we move on directly to the strategies that were used by Mohammed Haidar University in order to promote and enhance distance learning in the light of the corona pandemic. So among the strategies adopted by Mohammed Haidar University and other Algerian universities was the regular decisions and announcements that were issued by the Minister of Higher Education in Algeria, through which he tried to encourage and invite teachers and students to use the latest technologies and applications and even social media tools in distance teaching and learning during this corona pandemic. Some of these applications and technologies that were being used and that the Minister of Higher Education invite teachers, both teachers and students, to use such strategies or applications were Zoom conferences in teaching, of course, Google Meet, Google Classroom, and even the use of Facebook. And all these applications have become popular among students, especially since students are accustomed and familiar with such technologies and applications in communication more even than teachers, as we all know that this generation or the latest generations of students, they are all familiar with the use of technological tools like smartphones, mobiles, computers, and all applications that are related to this point. So it wasn't that much difficult for them to use such applications in learning, and the same for teachers, especially novice teachers. I mean, let's say younger teachers, university teachers, because they are familiar with such applications. So it was a good strategy adopted by the Ministry of Higher Education and also by teachers and students at universities. Concerning another strategy that was followed by University Mohammed Haidar of Fiskra in order to promote and enhance distance learning and teaching during this corona pandemic is an agreement that was signed between the University of Mohammed Haidar and other educational distance educational platforms like Coursera and edX. So in this context, Mohammed Haidar University signed an agreement with the distance educational platform edX, which provides free courses to students and teachers. So statistics says that 969 registrants benefited from different courses on the platform edX, and about 323 registered in Coursera to benefit from different courses on this distance educational platforms. When I say registrants, I mean both students and teachers, which means that students who are studying in University Mohammed Haidar and teachers who belong to the same university benefited from free courses on these two distance educational platforms, Coursera and edX. So this is concerning the second strategy. The third strategy that was followed, and for me personally, I find that it is, or I consider it, the most important strategy. This strategy was affirmative training for newly recruited university teachers. This training was mainly about the use of ICTs in distance teaching. Which means that newly recruited teachers, or let's say novice teachers in Mohammed Haidar University, were obliged to follow an academic training, which is all about the use of ICTs in teaching, in distance teaching. And the Ministry of Higher Education and the University of of Mohammed Haidar, among other universities in Algeria, followed this strategy or started working with this strategy since 2015. It means it didn't start only with the appearance of this coronavirus. However, it started 5 years ago in 2015. So all novice teachers were obliged to go through an academic training, formative training about the use of ICTs in distance teaching. And I was among these teachers who were obliged or imposed to follow such academic training. This was concerning the main strategies that were adopted by or followed by the University of Mohammed Haidar in Algeria in order to promote distance learning during this pandemic, the corona pandemic. Just as at the end, to conclude with a brief, because I think that it is time, there are 15 minutes of presentation, and to leave space to other participants in order to participate. I want to conclude with a brief conclusion. So it can be concluded that Mohammed Haidar University, among other Algerian universities, have done remarkable efforts in order to cope with the corona pandemic and to facilitate distance teaching and learning for both teachers and students in university. And that have been strategies that have been explained earlier, followed by Mohammed Haidar University, were of a great help in promoting distance learning in the light of the corona pandemic. However, there were some shortcomings for both teachers and students due to different reasons. That it can be concluded that although distance education has contributed in dealing with the corona crisis at the level of education, still there are some educational goals in order to be fulfilled, and an interactive face-to-face teaching must be done. So this was concerning my presentation in collaboration with my colleague, Dr. Huriya Waman. Now I will, the discussion session will be open for all dear participants. If you have any questions, any interventions, anything to be added, you are all welcome. And thank you for your attention. Is there any intervention or any question or anything to be added from anyone of our dear participants?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
First of all, I would like to say thank you for your really interesting talk. My question is, what
would you please just at first introduce yourself, just to know who is talking?
Okay, I am assistant professor, PhD, psychology, cognitive psychology. I'm from Iraq, but now I have sabbatical leave in UK for 1 year. So my question, what is different between distance learning and electronics learning? I think both
between
the same.
Distance
and
learning?
Yes, and electronics learning or e-learning.
E-learning.
Yes, and I think the both same meaning, but will be much better if you use the electronics learning. So instead than learning. So I what do you think? I think slightly some difference, right?
But the difference is in the word itself, in electronic. This is the difference between them. Because when we say electronic, we limit it with only electronic materials. However, when we say distance, it can include even handouts that you may send to others, but in distance, I mean.
Yes, but always.
Did you get the difference?
Yeah. But in the same point with them, the students physical absent, but mental is okay.
You mean they are physically away?
Yes, physically all students not present. Yeah, just use the electronics or use the internet or any. So, okay, thank you very much.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. I hope that you got the difference. That's it.
Yeah, that makes sense for me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Is there anyone else who want to interact or to ask questions concerning the topic or my presentation?
No comment.
Sorry?
No comment.
Okay. So since it's the case, we can move to the next presentation or intervention, which will be, sorry, let me check the program. So we will move to the intervention of Abdelali Breeze. I hope that I'm pronouncing the names as they are, hopefully. Asma Blaylet, Khadija Neji, Abdelrahani Lashkar, and Radwan Marabt. So, and the title of the intervention is Strategy for Educational Continuity at Sidi Mohammed bin Abdullah University during the COVID-19 pandemic. So if there is anyone of you, dear participants, who wants to start the presentation, he or she will be welcome.
Bonjour, Khadija Neji.
Bonjour.
En fait,
welcome.
كنت استأذنتك باش ندير لا بريزونطاسيون باللغة العربية.
Okay, so this is the presentation that it will be in Arabic. Okay, welcome, no problem. So
أنا عندي باوربوينت غادي نبارطاجي ليكرون ديالي وباش تتبعوا معايا في الباوربوينت ممكن.
Okay, so just wait a minute. من فضلك يعني طالما انها المداخلة ستكون باللغة العربية، فحبذا لو نبدأ بالمداخلات التي تكون باللغة الإنجليزية ونترك المداخلة باللغة العربية في
No problem. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So since this presentation will be in Arabic, so we will move to another presentation, which will be in English, of it's Aziz Subay.
Sorry, doctor.
Yeah.
I have, before it was my presentation in the program with Professor Abdelali Ibriz, Asma Blaylet, entitled Monitoring and Evaluation.
This is your presentation with Mohammed bin Sliman and Lahsan Uri. Yeah, okay. So who will present?
I don't know if it was changed or.
It's okay, no problem. All the to be the first or the second, it's okay, no problem. Okay. Since you are here, you are present. We can deal with your presentation.
Okay, thank you. So I have a PowerPoint presentation to share with you, if it is possible.
Yeah, it's possible. You can share it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, for me, I can see it. For others, I don't know. Other participants, can you see the screen presentation?
Yeah, it's so clear, so clear.
Okay. So would you please introduce yourself, just if you don't mind? Then you have all the time to do your presentation, and best of luck.
Yes, thank you. So good evening, everybody. My name is Asma Blaylet. I'm a PhD student and network engineer at the e-learning center of Sidi Mohammed bin Abdullah University of Fez, Morocco. And my presentation will be entitled Monitoring and Evaluation of Sidi Mohammed bin Abdullah University's experience in e-learning during COVID-19 pandemic. So as the outline of my presentation, I will start by an introduction. Then I will give a brief introduction of the USBA strategy, and then the analysis of the survey for the evaluation of distance education systems at Sidi Mohammed Abdullah University. And at last, I will finish by a conclusion. So as a part of the prevention measures aimed at stemming the pandemic COVID-19, the University of Sidi Mohammed Abdullah has set up e-learning systems to ensure pedagogical continuity and support for students in these exceptional circumstances. So since 16 March of this year, face-to-face or presential courses at the University of Sidi Mohammed Abdullah have been suspended. And as the strategy for Sidi Mohammed Abdullah University to ensure pedagogical continuity through distance learning, the USMBA has put online more than 15,036 digital and audiovisual educational resources through different digital platforms, namely Moodle. So we had in our university 14 platforms for each faculty and schools. And we had created more than 82,140 user accounts for all students and teaching staffs. We used also other platforms like Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Facebook, etc. So in this study, we had a sample of 545 professors from different fields. So we can see here scientific faculties, technical faculties, and also literature. And we have a number of students who participated in this survey was about 4,104 from different faculties and schools, of course. So according to the study carried out by Sidi Mohammed bin Abdullah University, about 51% of the students expressed their satisfaction with the experience of distance learning, while 49% expressed dissatisfaction. The percentage measuring the level of satisfaction for professors with e-learning experience differs from the percentage recorded among students, as the percentage of professors who expressed relative satisfaction with e-learning process reached about 90%, while just 10% were not satisfied. So despite the fact that 71% of teachers had no previous experience in e-learning, the Sidi Mohammed Abdullah University noted a deep commitment from its teaching staff, who were very motivated to participate in this experience. So for this, the USMBA has supported their teachers in the implementation of online courses through several training sessions on how to use Moodle platforms, including creation and management of content, collaboration tools, evaluation tools, etc. So we have here the percentage of professors with experience in distance learning. You can see here we have 58% who had already an experience, and just 42% who haven't any experience before. On the other hand, the percentage of professors who have received support from their institutions or faculties by recording their courses using video technology doesn't exceed almost 30%. And almost 83% of teaching staff have confirmed their access to the working tools required for distance learning, such as institutional email, institutional digital platforms like Moodle, and tools facilitating the communication with their students. Regarding to the frequency of use of distance education channels, the survey showed that 58% of the students regularly read teaching materials given by their professors in the online courses. So, as a conclusion, the circumstances that Morocco is currently going through, like all over the world, have convinced the teachers of the need to use distance learning to develop pedagogical course presented to students. And more than 64% of teachers surveyed confirmed that this type of teaching can really improve face-to-face teaching. And we had 75% of teaching staff who expressed their intention to adopt e-learning systems as a complement of presential or face-to-face teaching in the future. And 83% of them expressed their wish to benefit, of course, from training and support in the use of e-learning platforms. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. It was really an interesting topic, and actually talking about myself, you have gave me insight about some points concerning Sidi Mohammed University, and let's say maybe the same for some other Moroccan universities. And it was really helpful. So thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you so much.
I would like to give the opportunity to other participants, dear teachers who are with us, and professors, if you have any comments, any questions to the concerning the previous topic, who was presented by what was your name, please?
Asma Blilat.
Asma Blilat. Yeah, Asma Blilat. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask or to comment.
Yes, of course.
As I suppose there are no comments. So, okay, I have one comment, only one comment. Actually, you have mentioned that most teachers were satisfied with the working with this method or strategy of using distance or e-learning in teaching at university. You have mentioned a percentage, as I suppose, of 64 maybe of teachers who were satisfied with this method, and they consider it as a support to face-to-face teaching or learning. That's what you have mentioned, and I think that this idea supports by itself my idea when I talked about one of Algerian universities, when I said that the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research in Algeria tried to make the distance learning only as a support.
Yes.
Not only a method to support, not to eliminate. Exactly, not to eliminate or to replace face-to-face teaching and learning. And even from my personal point of view as a teacher, as a university teacher in this matter, I would always consider it as a support, but not as a method that would eliminate or replace the face-to-face interaction between teacher and student. So I think we agree about this.
We should have a hybrid.
Exactly, absolutely. So I think that concerning this point, let's say that Algerian universities and Moroccan universities agree on this. Yeah. So thank you very much, Asma. Thank you for the interesting presentation. So we will move now to the next presentation, which is teaching with Edmodo and the SAMR model in mind, which will be presented by Aziz Subai or Subai. I'm not sure about the name, the family name. So is he present with us? Well, okay, we will be waiting for him later on. We move to the next presentation. Mrs. Yasmina Benzida, are you here? I think that she is here, but she is not hearing us. Yasmina Benzida, unmute your mic, Yasmina.
Sorry, I forgot. Sorry. Hello,
Yeah.
good afternoon.
Welcome, dear. How are you doing?
Yeah. So first of all, I would like to thank all the organizers who joined us here in this virtual international seminar. I really thank them for their great effort. I'd like to thank our president, Mrs. Tricky, or Dr. Tricky. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
So my presentation today will be about, or entitled, Use the Deliberate Practice Technique to Develop EFL Learners' Speaking Skill During COVID-19 Pandemic. So being a teacher of oral expression, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we are obliged now to use what is called the e-learning. But to teach other modules, I guess it's somehow easy. You deliver some information, some PDFs, and there are exercises to do, but with the oral expression, it seems somehow difficult. So that's why I've tried to search in this area. So my presentation, as I said, is entitled Using the Deliberate Practice Technique to Develop EFL Learners' Speaking Skill During the COVID-19 Pandemic. So my presentation is an attempt to investigate in the area of the speaking skill by introducing a new technique, which is called the Deliberate Practice Technique to EFL learners during the COVID-19 pandemic in order to develop their speaking skill. So the study provide or aims to provide to foreign language teachers with a new way through which they can urge their learners develop this important skill, and of course to see opportunity or the quarantine time. So the mixed method opted to confirm or to reject the hypothesis of this research, and my hypothesis is that the deliberate practice technique is an effective technique which can be used to enhance both e-learning and develop EFL learner speaking skill. So to carry on the study, so we have asked our learners of third year LMD system from Mohammed Khayda University to volunteer, just to volunteer, so it means we need volunteers. So we have done a virtual meeting with them. Some of them, they have accepted the idea, and others, they have refused it. So we kept with those who accepted to go through this research work. So when we speak about the COVID-19, the COVID-19 have touched everyone's life, and is specific the education. So education here, we are not going to speak about traditional education, but we're speaking about e-learning specific. We ask ourselves, what is e-learning? E-learning, as the previous doctor has asked you, so e-learning is bringing learning to learners and not learners to learning. So keep our learners at home, keep safe, you and your families, and we will learning to you. So without any instruction, any restriction of agenda, of time or place, whatever. So no time, no place, no problems at all, only you study. So what we are going to do, so our university, you have mentioned it before, that has done a lot of efforts to facilitate the e-learning for our teachers and for our learners as well. So we have a Moodle platform and many other social contacts with our learners, but for a certain and official platform for our university, for Algerian University, is Moodle platform. So we have opted for the deliberate practice technique to develop the important skill, which is the oral speaking skill during this quarantine. So let's say that the present research work is an attempt to answering the question, which is, what effect would the deliberate practice technique have on student speaking skill in terms of accuracy and fluency during the pandemic or the COVID-19 pandemic? So let me just move to the other slide. So by definition, maybe someone will ask later, what is deliberate practice technique? So deliberate practice technique, first of all, let's separate the word. The deliberate practice
the notion of deliberate means what? The notion exactly, it was introduced first by Anders Ericsson in 1993 in his psychological review article. And actually, for him, he took the definition from dictionary. He said from dictionary, practice by definition is doing an activity or training regularly so that you can improve your skill. This is from an Oxford dictionary. And when you go to deliberate itself, so we've said that we're going to divide the word into two. Deliberate actually, by definition, is a movement or an action which is done carefully without hurry. It means you take your time and you do it. But for Ericsson, is not. This is the exact definition for the technique. For Ericsson, he said that in his article, he said that deliberate practice does not mean simply doing the activity over and over. No, he said it means the amount of the repeated attempt to the challenging part of a task. It means a teacher is going to ask his learners to present anything or something or a topic, then he would repeat it. So the learner is not going to repeat what he wants, but he is going just to take the part where he think that it is really very, very difficult, and he would repeat it many times in order to get it in the right way. So instead, so learners, or let's say, as you said, that novice teachers, they really accepted the idea of ICT, I would say in a parallel way. So even our learners, they are really fond of using their mobiles. So using their mobiles, instead of using it only in checking Facebook or Instagram, so let's evaluate or develop our speaking skill via using our mobiles. So the deliberate practice technique contains 5 elements. The 5 elements, so any learner should videotape or audio tape himself using his smartphone. So what we say, the basic notion of the deliberate practice, it urges the autonomous learning by learners. So learners are going to videotape themselves or audio tape, listen to themselves, exchange between themselves their videos, then they would give the feedback to each other, then they will evaluate, and even the learner himself, when he watches himself or herself, he would say, am I doing better or I'm getting worse? So here the self-evaluation. So there are 5 elements for the deliberate practice technique which the learner should follow. The first one is to select the challenging area, the difficult part in his presentation. Then he would go to record or videotape this challenging area. Then the third step is you watch himself. Then the fourth one is decide. You decide whether you get it in the right way or you're doing the wrong thing. Then the last one, if you think that there is any part which is really needs to be adjusted, so you do it again and again. So the maximum time of repetition is 10 minutes, because if it passes 10 minutes, it will be somehow wasting of time for him. So we don't want to let him feel that it is wasting of time. No, but he is having fun. He is having fun by developing this important skill. So the research setting of this research work is, it took, since we are in the COVID-19 pandemic, so everyone is at home. So the place of the research is everyone's learners at home. Then the research sampling, we took, as we said, that the third year wasn't chosen, taken at random, because the deliberate practice technique, it needs someone or a learner who have a background, a previous background. So we have opted for third year, since they have first and second year. So third year, it means they have a linguistic background, historical background, a lot of information about the English language. Let's go directly to the discussion of the results. As we said, but before we go to the results and discussion, we have to mention that we have distributed questionnaires for learners of third year and for teachers of oral expression. So their answers for about the use of deliberate practice technique in one way, and the teaching of the oral expression module on another way. So for teachers, both of them, they said, teachers and learners, they said that teaching oral expression is, for teachers, they said, teaching oral expression via e-learning is really difficult. is really very, very difficult. However, for learners, for them to speak in front of using your mobile, something easy, so something difficult. For them, they are having fun, especially with our learners. They admire speaking in English, but with themselves, facing the mirror or facing or audio taping themselves via phone is something easy. When we go to e-learning, the point of e-learning, for teachers, they said teaching, some of them, they said teaching oral is easy, and others, they say it's difficult. So we have here the same answer for teachers. The same number said easy and the same said difficult. However, for learners, it's in addition to learners, it's the same. And here we go to that both teachers and learners, they get used of ICT in their teaching and learning. So our learners and teachers, they get used or the habit of using the ICT within the teaching and learning process. Let's go to the point of speaking skill on the development of the speaking skill. For teachers, they said it is really difficult to develop the speaking skill of learners in comparison with the traditional way. And for learners as well, they said it's really difficult for them because we will move to another point, which is it needs for them for a peer reviewing. So they have to exchange their videos or their audio tapes with their friends. For learners, some learners, if they are intimate, they find it easy. But those who are not intimate, they find it somehow heavy to post or to send their videos to other people who they don't like, or they don't even talk with. So here, for those who are intimate, they find it really interesting. And for the others, they say, no, we don't even want to send our videos. For peer reviewing,
sorry,
which is a new point for
are you hearing
teachers.
Me?
Sorry, yes.
Yasmina, yeah. Sorry, just because it's you know that the time of the presentation is limited, so would you just explain you can continue, carry on your topic, but just in a brief way, if you don't mind.
Yeah, and the last point. Yeah, of course. Yeah, sorry. Okay. So the deliberate practice technique, it needs as well the peer reviewing. So it encourages, as I said, autonomous learning because learners are going to videotape themselves. For peer reviewing, so learners are asked to exchange their videos with each other and give the feedback for each other. So this is the most important element for the deliberate practice technique. Teachers, they find it good, and learners, they find it somehow good for others and not good for the others. So the invitation we may give to our results that all teachers agree that the importance of e-learning in this really sensitive period, which is the pandemic. And this last one goes to the necessity of the learning during the crisis and the COVID-19 pandemic. However, both learners and teachers find e-learning somehow difficult since they did not have a previous training or an online learning. As we novice teachers at Mohammed Khaydan University, we have a training, but really we need more practice in order to be well equipped with that e-learning. So the solution here, we found through this research, is that a blended learning after the coronavirus pandemic is a must now. Blended learning is really very important to be involved in our teaching and learning. And thank you so much. And the easy conclusion that we say that the deliberate practice technique proved its effectiveness to develop the speaking skill of EFL learners. And actually, teachers, they agree that this technique is really seems that it's fruitful and helpful to develop EFL learners' speaking skill. And thank you so much. And sorry if I took more than my time.
Okay. It's okay. It's okay.
And
it's
if you have any
question, to get
welcome.
that much of information from your survey and from your presentation. It's really an interesting topic. Thank you so much, Mrs. Benzida.
Welcome.
I would welcome any comments, any questions about this topic from dear participants.
Absolutely.
If you have anything to say, I have, when you were presenting your topic, I think that there were, let me check, there were some messages or comments from some participants about the topic. one of the participants or one of the teachers with us asked, is there any study or paper talk about blended learning? If you know one, give the title of the paper, please. Maybe later, Mrs. Yasmina, if you have
I would send it to you in private.
Any documents
with them.
You can exactly. Thank you so much. You can share them with us so the others can get benefits from them.
Yes, absolutely.
I forgot. I was about to ask you something. I had a comment. I would just ask, would you suggest or prefer to let's say integrate, I mean as a teacher of oral expression, would you suggest or would you recommend integrating blended learning in teaching, let's say oral expression? I won't talk about other courses. I will only limit my question about oral expression since you are dealing with this course. So what do you suggest? Do you recommend it to be used, or do you prefer that it should be only as a support? Or what do you, I mean, to support to other methods, I mean, in teaching oral expression?
For me, actually, I have, as you have mentioned, that Mohammed Khaydar University has done an agreement, edX platform and Coursera platform. And I guess you have trained on Coursera, and I have trained on edX as well. My training on edX was e-learning, actually. And e-learning, for me, after the training, I find it that e-training, it really somehow you cannot keep a learner studying on e-learning during a whole year, but you can keep him for a period like the coronavirus pandemic. So after the corona, can we stay following the way of e-learning? Absolutely. I guess no one is going to follow it, but they would prefer to go to traditional plus the e-learning.
Exactly.
So traditional e-learning, it's equal to blended learning. So now blended learning must, because we have witnessed before the traditional one, and during the COVID-19 have witnessed the e-learning. Now, after the coronavirus pandemic, we have to witness what is called the blended learning. So now, I guess it's full of research, a lot of many areas. Researchers can go through this after the coronavirus pandemic, inshallah.
Yeah, exactly. So here there is another university teachers who agrees with us. I mean, when I talked about Moroccan universities and Algerian universities, and as I suppose there would be many other Arabic universities in the Arab world, or even in, I mean, in the world, in the whole world, that they would agree about the use of both methods, as you said, traditional method or face-to-face interactive method, and the blended learning or e-learning or distance learning, whatever it's called. So thank you so much, Mrs. Benzida Yasmina, for the interaction, for the interesting topic. Thank you very much. We appreciated what you did. Thank you. So without further ado, let's move to the next presentation. I don't know whether Mr. Aziz Subak joined or not. So as I suppose he didn't join. Okay, so we move to directly the last presentation. As I said, or as I mentioned earlier, that it will be presented in Arabic due to some reasons. So Khadija, you are still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
أهلا بك خديجة. So خديجة, feel free, خذي راحتك في تقديم العرض. نحن في الاستماع، تفضل.
شكرا. أنا بارطاجيت معكم الإكران ديالي، ما عرفتش تشوفوه ولا لا.
بالنسبة لي الصورة واضحة.
إذا جيد. إذا معكم خديجة الناجي، مهندسة الدولة في الإعلاميات في جامعة سيدي محمد بن عبد الله، وأشتغل حاليا بمركز التعليم عن بعد في الجامعة، وفي نفس الوقت أحضر أطروحة حول التعليم عن بعد، وخصيصا في مجال ليموك Massive Open Online Courses.
يعني اليوم عندنا مشاركة من المجال في حد ذاته.
يس. دونك
تفضلوا.
مرحبا. سيركز عرضي التقديمي على استراتيجية جامعة سيدي محمد بن عبد الله لمواصلة التعليم خلال وباء كوفيد-19. تهدف خطة استمرارية التعليم إلى توفير تعليمات مفيدة لاستمرار النشاط التعليمي في فترة الأزمة، وقد تم تطويرها من القرارات التي اتخذت خلال الاجتماعات التنسيقية التي عقدت في 14 مارس 2020 بحضور رئيس الجامعة ورؤساء المؤسسات الأكاديمية وموظفي مركز التعليم عن بعد، بناء على توصيات وزارة التعليم العالي والبحث العلمي المغربية. تستند خطة العمل على هذا النموذج الذي ترونه، والذي يستجيب ل5 مبادئ مرتبطة بالموارد والإجراءات، والتي هي: المبدأ الأول مواكبة الطلاب والتأكد من التواصل المستمر. المبدأ الثاني تكييف الدروس مع حالة الحجر الصحي. المبدأ الثالث دعم الأساتذة من خلال التدريب والدروس التوضيحية. المبدأ الرابع تأقلم استراتيجية الجامعة حسب تطور حالة الجائحة. والمبدأ الأخير هو إعداد مؤشرات القياس والتقويم للنظام. لنبدأ بالمبدأ الأول، مواكبة الطلاب والتأكد من التواصل المستمر. لإجراء هذا المبدأ نعتمد على عدة إجراءات، وهي: أولاً تفعيل الحسابات الأكاديمية للطلاب والأساتذة والاستجابة بسرعة لجميع المشاكل الفنية التي يواجهها المستخدمون. وفي هذا الإطار فقد تم تحديث 19,844 حساباً جديداً للطلاب و 240 حساباً جديداً للأساتذة، ليصبح مجموع الحسابات بالنسبة للطلاب 81,263 حساباً، وبالنسبة للأساتذة 1,784 حساباً جديداً. الإجراء الثاني هي البنية التحتية لدعم استمرارية التعليم، وفي هذا الإطار تم تنصيب منصات جديدة لمودل، برنامج التعليم عن بعد مودل، وعددها 14، كما تم إنشاء 82,140 حساباً جديداً للمستخدمين عبر منصة مودل. وأخيراً تم دعم الطلاب، وذلك عن طريق دروس ومستندات الفيديو، وإنشاء صفحات على الفيسبوك أو شبكات اجتماعية أخرى إن لم تكن موجودة، لنشر المعلومات بسرعة وعلى أوسع نطاق. نمر إلى الهدف الثاني، تكييف الدروس مع حالة الحجر الصحي. في الواقع تم الاتفاق على أن ينتهي الأمر بالمؤسسات باستخدام منصة مودل، وجعل الدورات والموارد التعليمية التي يقدمها الأساتذة متاحة لطلابهم على هذه المنصة. بما أنه ليس من السهل إجراء عملية نقل بسيطة عن بعد للتدريس وجها لوجه، فينبغي تخصيص كل الوقت اللازم لإعداد وتنفيذ ممارسات التدريس الجديدة جزئياً. ولهذا الهدف تم إنشاء 6 غرف جديدة لتسجيل الدروس، 3 منها في سيس، و2 في ظهر المراز، وواحدة في كلية المتعددة التخصصات تازة. الإجراء التالي هو وضع الموارد التعليمية على الإنترنت. أطلقنا مؤقتاً جميع الموارد التعليمية على الإنترنت وعلى الصفحات المتاحة، في انتظار أن يستكمل تنصيب الموديل. وفي هذا الصدد تم وضع مجموعة من الموارد التعليمية على الإنترنت ليستفيد منها الطلاب ولا يضيعوا الوقت في الانتظار. وتم لذلك وضع أكثر من 15,036 مورداً تعليمياً رقمياً على الإنترنت. وبعد الانتهاء من تنصيب موديل، أحضرنا تلك الموارد التعليمية وأضفنا لها موارد أخرى، ليصبح العدد في الإجمال 13,240 مورداً للتعليم، والتي وضعت كلها في موديل في 14 منصة موديل موزعة على مجموع المؤسسات والكليات التابعة للجامعة. كما ترون فقد قسمت حسب الكليات والجامعة التابعة لجامعة سيدي محمد بن عبد الله. دون أن ننسى مراقبة العمل الذي كان على قدم وساق لإعداد استوديو جامعي لتزويد الجامعة باستوديو يفي بالمعايير الدولية ويعمل بشكل جيد لإنتاج الكبسولات التعليمية وتجميع ليموك، والآن هو جاهز لهذا الدخول المدرسي. النقطة الأخيرة هي إنشاء وسائل اتصال عبر البريد الإلكتروني للاستجابة السريعة للمشكلات الفنية التي يواجهها الطلاب والأساتذة، بالإضافة إلى الوصول إلى جميع الموارد التعليمية بالجامعة والمكتبات الرقمية المقدمة مجانا والمنصات الخارجية المقدمة بموجب اتفاقيات مع الوزارة والجامعة ككورسيرا وأخرى. الآن نصل إلى الهدف الثالث والذي هو دعم الأساتذة من خلال التدريب والدروس التوضيحية. بعض الأساتذة للأسف ليس لديهم تدريب ولا خبرة في التدريب عن بعد، رغم أن هذا يحشد مهارات فنية وتربوية محددة للقيام بما هو أفضل في هذا السياق المقيد للغاية وللسماح للجميع بالارتياح والتقدم. وفي هذا الصدد تم تنظيم دورات للأساتذة في الوقت المناسب، وكما ترون لقد تم تزويدهم ب9 وثائق للدروس و6 فيديوهات وكبسولات الجلسة، كما تم تنظيم أكثر من دورة التي امتدت على نحو في مجموع 96 ساعة، ليكون مجموع المستفيدين من الأساتذة أكثر من 700 أستاذ. الهدف ما قبل الأخير وهو تأقلم استراتيجية الجامعة حسب تطور حالة الجائحة. كما تعلمون تخضع قرارات الدولة المتعلقة بالتعليم العالي في المغرب لتطور حالة الوباء، وفي هذا السياق من أجل الاستمرارية التربوية كان يتطلب الأمر تعديلات في استراتيجية المؤسسة والوسائل التي تحشدها من أجل المرافقة، ولذلك كان يتم تنقيحها بقدر الضرورة مع مراعاة القرارات المتخذة من خلال اجتماعات لجنة التنسيق والمراقبة التي تجتمع مرة واحدة أسبوعياً. الهدف الأخير وهو إعداد مؤشرات القياس والتقويم للنظام بالنظر إلى الجانب الديناميكي للحالة الحبس التي يتم فيها تسجيل الاستمرارية التعليمية، لحالة الحجر التي يتم فيها تسجيل الاستمرارية التعليمية. من المهم قياس تطويرها بشكل مستمر وفي بعض الأحيان آثارها، مما يسمح لنا بتعديل أعمالنا وبالتالي تعزيز تحقيق الأهداف. وفي هذا السياق قمنا بعدة إجراءات، منها مؤشرات لقياس التعلم. قد كنا نقيس بشكل مستمر إمكانية الوصول المعلومة للتلاميذ، وذلك من خلال معرفة عدد التلاميذ المزودين بالإنترنت، عدد التلاميذ النشطون على المنصات وعلى وسائل الاتصال عن بعد. قسنا عدد الصفحات المشاهدة خلال الأيام في كل مؤسسة وفي كل كلية، وكما تشاهدون فالمبيان يبين عدد الصفحات المشاهدة يومياً بخصوص كلية متعددة التخصصات في تازة. قمنا أيضاً بقياس إنتاج المحتوى عبر تطور عبر الأيام وفي كل تخصص كما ترون في المبيان وحسب التخصصات. وأخيراً قمنا أيضاً بقياس النشاط التعليمي الفردي التعاوني والتقييم، يعني قمنا بقياس نشاط الطلاب في المنتديات وكمية المعلومات التي يحتاجونها والتي يحملونها فيما بينهم. والإجراء الأخير في هذا الصدد قمنا بإجراء استبيان تقييم آلية التعليم عن بعد، حيث كان هناك استبيان ثنائي اللغة بالعربية والفرنسية للطلاب، وكان استبيان باللغة العربية للأساتذة واستبيان باللغة الفرنسية للأساتذة، ومن خلاله قمنا بمعرفة جميع تطور وجميع ملاحظات للتلاميذ والأساتذة خلال هذه المدة، وذلك بهدف تطوير استراتيجيتنا. شكرا على تتبعكم.
شكرا جزيلا لك خديجة. Thank you so much for the interesting topic. Thank you so much for the details that I was impressed about, which means that you have done a great job, a deep job that may take time and efforts. So thank you very much for the details. I would repeat the details and the statistics about the university and different faculties. In my case, I have no comments. Even I had a question and you answered it later in your presentation.
Okay.
So I have no comments myself. I would just invite others.
Please, Dr. Manal, please. There are to Dr. Musbah Amir Abu al-Mahdi. Now he will ask.
He will ask?
Yes. تفضل دكتور عبد.
Yes, for sure. You are welcome, Doctor. You are welcome.
السلام عليكم.
تفضل دكتور. وعليكم السلام.
مرحبا دكتور، اهلا وسهلا بك. فرصه طيبه نلتقي في الامسيه المباركه هذه.
شكرا.
Really I'm happy with your group. I listen many presentation. It's good for education and for this for everybody. I tell them thank you very very much. حقيقة يعني أنا فعلا مسرور جدا باللي أحضره ونشاهده وفق الورقات المتعددة باللغة الإنجليزية وباللغة العربية، والقدرات اللي شفناها بصراحة. يعني كل الإمكانات اللي شفناها، الإمكانات البشرية نقصد، يعني على قمة عالية وعلى درجة عالية من المعرفة. فعلا المؤتمر يعني شق طريقه الصحيح بوجودكم، وبصراحه نورتوا المؤتمر واعطيتوه صبغه طيبه جدا جدا، من الجزائر، من المغرب، من ليبيا، من سوريا، من العراق، يعني من حوالي اكثر من 20 دوله. ففعلا صراحه نحن نتشرف جدا جدا، وان شاء الله حيكون فيه مؤتمر ان شاء الله جامع ما بين دوله ليبيا والدول العربية الأخرى. نشكركم جزيل الشكر.
تسلم دكتور، شكرا جزيلا لك فعلا، وانت اللي نورتنا وانت اللي شرفتنا بحضورك يعني لجلستنا، وهذا شرف لنا طبعا، واهلا بك وبكل الشعب الليبي الشقيق. شكرا جزيلا لك دكتور على المداخلة. شكرا
جزيلا. نعم، نحن شعب واحد ودولة واحدة، وإن شاء الله حيكون لنا
طبعا دكتور
يجمعنا إن شاء الله.
إن شاء الله إن شاء الله. أتمنى ذلك. لنا الشرف دكتور أن يجمعنا أي ملتقى علمي أو محفل علمي.
المشاكل يزيحوا ويزيح الحروب، ونرجع كما كنا إن شاء الله أفضل بعون الله
إن شاء الله. وأحسن دكتور إن شاء الله. دكتور إن شاء الله. شكرا لك. إذا كان هناك أي تعليقات أو أسئلة بخصوص مداخلة خديجة ناجي.
إن شاء الله حناخذ ارقام تليفوناتكم من الدكتور مصعب، انا على تواصل دائم معه، وحنتواصل معكم.
الشرف لينا دكتور.
شكرا دكتوره، تسلم ان شاء الله. بارك الله فيك. شكرا.
تسلم دكتور. اذا لم يكن هناك اي اسئله بخصوص المداخله التي قدمتها الاستاذه ناجي خديجه, if you have any further comments about the meeting in general, about any suggestions, any recommendations, any solutions that you want to talk about or to introduce concerning the educational system during this pandemic, corona pandemic. If you have any recommendations concerning teaching any material and any course at university or even in other levels, we are not limited here within university teachers. I'm talking about all educational levels. So if you have any recommendations or suggestions about teaching in general during this corona pandemic, I would welcome them. So feel free to add any comments or any discussions.
Really, I have some recommendation for this topic. Yes. We have a lot of problems for the education now in this time. You know, the COVID-19 is very problem for this time. A lot of faculty, a lot of university, they are like closed. They didn't do because there is something difficult to start to learning. Yeah. My idea, I think it's good idea if the university they do learning online now, but there is some problem for this. for some reason يعني if we do for example some countries you know this time for example in Libya we have a lot of problems, electric problem, internet is a problem. Now we have bigger problem. We tried in Libya to do education online, learning online. We couldn't do that because you know Tripoli, for example, Tripoli and Benghazi and Musrata, and there is internet is very slowly. Electric sometimes a lot of time they are cut that. Therefore, we have two problems now. The situation in Libya and also the COVID-19. But we tried to do something to start for a student. We have a lot of students now. They ask it every day. They ask it when we will be start. When we will start for. Yeah. I'm sorry for this time, but now I spoke with Dr. Musab about this problems. We try to do something to online between some faculty and some university. They have difficult to do that, and we have a lot of things to do in future, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Inshallah. So first of all, Doctor, I want to facilitate something, or I want to just praise your English. So I would say that thank you for your clear English. Really, you have such a good English. So this is first. And concerning what you have said about Libya, first of all, we are sorry for all what's happening in Libya. And you know, one of the main topics of this conference is the conflicts and then the crisis. So we have, as you said, two problems. First, the conflicts that are happening, for example, in Libya, in Syria, in Iraq. So this is one point of that's one of the aims that this conference is trying to deal with. And the second one is the whole world, the pandemic, the COVID-19. And as you have said, there is another problem concerning the facilities that they are unfortunately not available in all areas in the Arabic world, like the internet. The internet speed is very low in many places, and it's not the case only in Libya, as I suppose it's the case in many other Arabic countries. Like, for example, in Algeria, there are some areas where students couldn't get enough internet speed in order to join a conference, for example, or an online course. And this is really a problem for some students. So, and let's say talking about the Algerian Ministry of Higher Education, they have tried to, let's say, to prepare for such day where there will be a need for electronic distance learning, and they tried to provide some trainings to teachers and students how to use ICTs, for example, in learning. But however, still there are some shortcomings. And you have mentioned one of them, which is the internet problem. Or even, let's say, the computer, the material, the technological materials. There are some students that they have, even if they have smartphones, but still these smartphones, they are not advanced enough to be used for a Zoom conference, for example. So hopefully such problems will be taken into consideration, and hopefully this pandemic of corona will, let's say, wake up authorities in order to provide more facilities to both teachers and students in order to deal with such problems. I hope so, inshallah. And thank you very much. شكرا على مداخلتك الدكتور، وشكرا على إنجليزيتك الواضحة. شكرا جزيلا لك.
شكرا بارك الله فيك. شكرا نلتقي إن شاء الله. شكرا دكتورة، بارك الله فيك.
إذا كان هناك أي مداخلة من أي أستاذ أو دكتور أو مشارك معنا في الجلسة، أي مداخلة أو سؤال أو اقتراحات إن أمكن. Okay, since there are no further comments or recommendations or suggestions about our topic and our conference, I would like to clutter this fifth session or fifth meeting in this conference by first of all thanking Professor Musab, Professor Al-Bayadani, and all those who contributed in the success of this conference. I would also thank all the participants in this meeting, all who gave us insights about either their universities or their country and how they treated and how the strategy they have used in order to cope, let's say, with this COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you all so much. Thank you to all those who joined us and who were following the topics and the presentations with full attention. Thank you very much. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.